Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great Christmas week so far. And in today's weather forecast, we are going to be going over what we can expect as we head into the next few weeks, which we will be tracking the potential for some severe weather, especially as we get into the later part of this week and as well as the beginning of next week. And then after that, we could be seeing a completely different type of pattern set up, as we could be seeing below normal temperatures across much of the United States as we get into January due to a polar vortex event. We could also be seeing a lot of snowfall too as well across the United States. So we will be going over all that closely, but before we really get into things, I do want to let you guys know that I do have a monitor currently coming in the mail as of right now. It hasn't gotten delivered to my house yet, but it is definitely getting close. It is still expected to arrive tomorrow, so make sure to subscribe and as well as like down below, as this did cost a lot of money, plus it's even gonna take a lot of work to set up. So consider subscribing after all that, and I will also continue to think about more upgrades to do on this channel, especially by the time we start earning more things. But also don't forget to leave a like as well. Those help out more than you know. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. Feel free to leave anything down below, and I'll get to those right after today's weather forecast. But let's first start off by talking about this Christmas storm on Christmas Day. And as you guys can see, we will be tracking a pretty big storm anywhere from the Ohio Valley all the way back down there into parts of Louisiana by the time we get into our Christmas. So something to really watch for, as that will continue to bring some rainfall as we get into Christmas Day, like I said. So something to really keep an eye on closely. And then after that, we will see even another storm system develop by the time we get into the weekend, which won't be tomorrow. This will pretty much be the end of this week, as we will be seeing the potential for a pretty big storm system around, and this storm might bring a little bit of severe weather, okay, to parts there of the deep south all the way up there into the Ohio Valley, as we do have a little bit of energy around. Now keep in mind that this isn't really a ton of energy, so we're not expecting anything too crazy, but we still could maybe get a little bit of severe weather, as we'll also have plenty of moisture to work with across the deep south all the way up there into the lower Ohio Valley, with even some 60-degree dew points up there. So we will need to watch it very closely by the time we get into later this week. So something to really keep an eye on there. And then for our wind shear, which is another thing that we really need, is actually going to be pretty powerful. We're talking very high wind shear across the Ohio Valley all the way back down there into Louisiana. Might be enough to maybe support a little bit of an isolated tornado threat. But keep in mind, though, that this is still a little far out, so we can't really say exactly whether this will happen. But what I do want to say, though, is that this is a possibility. And if we take a look at what the Colorado State University also shows for severe weather, this is what's going to give us the good idea on if we will at least need to watch for some. And on Thursday, it does want to show maybe a little bit of severe weather, and same on Friday and as well as Saturday later this week. Now, like I said, this is still far out, so we can't really say exactly if this is going to happen, but it's definitely to the point where we will need to watch it closely, as we could be seeing a little bit of wind, hail, maybe even an isolated tornado threat, like I said, due to how powerful the wind shear will be. So obviously something to not ignore, but definitely something to be on high alert for, and as well as keep an eye on very closely. And then as we get into January, we will be tracking a little bit of a different pattern, as we will be tracking some pretty big storms around, and this one is a little uncertain still, but definitely could bring a little bit of rainfall to that area. area. And then the thing that we might need to watch for as we get into January is a potential ice storm with ice and snowfall on the northern side of that system, which January is typically the most favorable month for both ice and as well as snowfall, guys. So that's something that we need to watch for as we get into January. Obviously, it's going to be different this year, so it's obviously not a guarantee that we'll see one in January, but what I do know so far is that we could definitely see one. So we will need to watch it very closely as some pretty big ice storms does appear possible next month. So it's definitely always good to stay prepared ahead of the schedule just in case something does happen. And then after that, we will be tracking a massive polar vortex event by the time we get from January 4th all the way through January 17th, where we will be seeing a lot of the eastern United States seeing well below average temperatures, guys. This is crazy, okay, compared to what we've been doing with right now, with below average precipitation expected across parts there of the Lower Ohio Valley all the way towards the mid-Mississippi River Valley, guys. So like I said, this is going to be a completely different pattern compared to what we're doing with right now, because right now we are dealing with warmer air and as well as a lot of storms. But as we get into January, we'll be doing with the complete opposite, where we're going to be doing with much cooler air with below average precipitation, meaning way less storms. So something to really watch for as we get into our January. Not a guarantee that this is exactly how it will set up, but I definitely do think it will be a lot different compared to what we're doing with right now. And just to show you guys how crazy this polar vortex could be, we could be seeing a lot of cold air surge on into the northern United States and just continue southeastward into parts of the Ohio Valley, deep south and Midwest, as we had from Saturday, January 4th, all the way to Saturday, January 11th of 2025. So something to really keep an eye on closely as we get into January. Not really seeing anything certain as of right now about this happening, but definitely something that has been consistent. So we will need to watch it very closely, especially as models continue to show this. Let's now look at your total rainfall that is anywhere from now all the way to January 5th of 2025, with much above average precipitation expected across really much of the eastern United States. The area that I would watch the closest would be anywhere from northeast Texas all the way back up there into the Ohio Valley, with maybe a little bit of flooding developing at some points as we get into January, especially after all those storms that roll on through. And then over here in the northwest does not show it as crazy as what it did a few days ago, but this is still enough to where we could be talking over a foot of rainfall by the time we get into our January. So still don't ignore those atmospheric river events as they roll on through, as we could still be seeing anywhere from a foot of rainfall to potentially even upwards towards 2 feet of rainfall across some areas. Looking a little more isolated, but still very, very, very bad, especially because we could be seeing major flooding. And then for your total rainfall, not your total rainfall, but for your total snowfall, some of this may be considered rainfall, by the way, especially in the lower elevations. But for your total snowfall, this is anywhere from now all the way to January 5th of 2025. And as you guys can see, we are going to be tracking the potential for some pretty heavy snowfall across much of the higher elevations out there to the west, including the higher elevations there in Utah. We also could be seeing a little bit of above normal snowfall across the northeast too, as well, as a couple feet does appear possible by the time we get into January, especially as that cold air will start surging on in. So something to really watch for. If I were you, I probably would not ignore this over here in New England, just because it's looking to be a little bit on the danger side of things, especially if we do get enough. But as of right now, though, it is going to remain uncertain still, so we don't know exactly how it will play out. But like I said, though, it's always good to be on high alert just in case we do see a pretty big snowstorm. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy today's weather forecast. Once again, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel, as we will continue to keep you guys updated with the latest, and so that you can also support me as well, as I am going to try to do more upgrades on this channel. So make sure to subscribe, as I'll even show you guys my mod monitor by the time it arrives. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up as well. Those help out more than you know. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. Feel free to leave anything down below, and I'll get to all those comments in just a second. And I hope you guys all have a great Christmas, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye. Ooh.